Welcome to the third and final video in my September 2018 operating session series. We're going to be running 3 trains in this video, starting with CP948, which is led by the beautiful Bowser 4505 up here. Now, 948 has a lot of work to do, as you can see from this switch list. There are pickups and setouts at pretty much everywhere in Georgetown. So CP Express is going to get a pickup and setout. Now, normally that's just boxcars, and so that is going to set out the Sioux, which is just on the edge of the screen here, this boxcar. The team track is going to get a pickup and a setout. Often those are gondolas or center beam lumber, and in fact this case it's going to be the center beam lumber car. And in the siding there's a couple of grain cars sitting there, so it's going to pick those up and it's going to set them out at the UGG elevator and pick up all of the loads at the UGG elevator. So with that in mind, let's get rolling. We'll take our handy dandy NCE controller and dial in the locomotive. 4505, enter, turn on the headlight, and away we go. So here we are in Georgetown. Now let's review our work. We have a pickup and a setout at CP Express, which is here. And that's a facing point move, so we're going to have to run around to do that. And we have a pickup and setout at the team track, which is in behind the locomotive here. And that is a trailing point move. The siding, we have the 2 cars to pick up there, and we have a pickup and set out at the elevator, which is way down in the back. You can see it way down here, my little cardstock elevator here. So we have basically a couple of trailing point moves and facing point moves. So I think we should get rid of the trailing point moves first, and that will help clear the siding so that we can actually do a runaround, because right now the siding has a couple of grain cars in it. So I think maybe the first thing to do is to work backwards from the locomotive. On the locomotive we have the center beam flat, which is going to go in the team track. So let's work on the team track and trade out the cars there. I've uncoupled the lead car from the train, and now we're ready to pull forward and then go back into the team track. All right, we are clear of the switch, and now we can throw the switch and back up into the team track. Now the conductor is going to have to ride it back and throw each of these switches. And we get the siding switch next. And then we'll have to stop at the team track switch. The brakeman has thrown the switch to the team track. Now we'll back up onto the gondola that is in there right now. Brakeman will then release the handbrake and we'll pull it out. For now I think we'll just stuff it on the lead that goes to the UGG elevator, and because we have to get it out of the way so that we can spot the center beam back. We'll clear the switch. throw it, and we'll push this gondola back and spot it out here. Just leave it anywhere there temporarily. So I need a uncoupling device here. These are great when they work. All right, pull forward. Brake will hop off, line the switch, secure it, get back on the car, and we'll spot that on the team track. Crank on that handbrake, and I walk around and collect and unhook the car, and then we'll be ready to pull forward. While we're here, we might as well go get those 3 grain cars that we're going to pull out. Line switch, secure it, and ride the locomotive back. So we'll couple up to the gondola, and then we'll keep going and couple up to the 3 grain cars as well. That was not a good couple. The coupler is a little out of alignment. Okay. And here we have to stop, and the brakeman will get down and ensure that they can cross the Minnedosa sub before proceeding. There's no traffic on the Minnedosa sub, so we're okay to proceed across it. Go back and connect to the 3 cars that are standing there. Now let's see if we actually got them. Nope. Alright, we might have to do some manual intervention. Alright, we've coupled up, so it is time to come forward. We'll pull everything out and stick these cars onto the train on the main line, then get our grain cars on the siding and put them back where this guy is now. That blue car is pretty rattly. So we're backing up onto our train, and then we'll pull ahead and get those cars out of the siding. Okay, we pull ahead here. After the brakeman lines the 2 switches, we'll come back into the siding. Basically, we have to pull past the switch right here that they're now going through, line it for the industrial spur, and then back up all the way to the elevator. This blue ALPX coat green car is not the greatest. I think I've mentioned in previous videos how big the wheels are on it. It's they basically, every time they go through a switch, they rattle because the flanges are way too deep. It's just not really worth it as a car to invest the time and or money into replacing it with better wheels, because the whole car is pretty low quality. But on the other hand, at least it doesn't derail, so that's pretty good. Alright, so as they go down there, they're going to have to stop and cross the Minnedosa sub as usual. Clear to continue backing up to the grain elevator. So we'll spot the blue car at the elevator. Come in and uncouple. This is a bit of a reach for me. This is about as far as I'd care to reach, really. And I can just barely do it. So I'm glad I didn't build it any deeper than that. All right, we'll assume that it's tied down. The brakes are set. Now the locomotive can go finish its work. Let's just pause here and review our work. So this is our switch list. We look at that. CP Express we have not done anything with. We have to set out the Sioux and pick up the CNW car. Georgetown Team Track, we've done the pickup and set out. Siding, we've done the pickup of those two, and we set them out there. And we did the pickup of the three. So the last thing left to do is the CP Express. So because that is a facing point move, we're going to have to run around our train. And we want the boxcar, which is in the middle of the train right now. So we'll have to pull that boxcar out of the middle and then switch it with the CNW car, which is the one in the back here. So we need to extract that and put the green boxcar back, as well as the Sioux Line boxcar that we're going to put in there. So let's go. So what I've done here is I've run the engine around to the rear of the train, coupled onto the rear, and uncoupled in front of the Sioux boxcar. So I'm going to pull everything back, including the Sioux boxcar that we need to spot, shove that onto the siding, put the rest of the train back on the main, and then go couple up on the Sioux boxcar and take it to do our switching. So there's our Sioux Line boxcar, the one that's causing all this trouble. See in the background those two green cars we just spotted. And here we stop here. Brakeman lines and locks, secures the switch, and then we can push ahead into the siding just enough to put that Sioux car out of the way. There. Uncouple. And then back up. Brakeman will ride the CP rail car. Reline for the main line. Secure the lock. Get on board. And push forward. And we're just going to drop the train anywhere there on the main. and then come back and get on that boxcar again. Now I have provision in my timetable for there to be a local switcher in Georgetown for CP, which would be really handy for the road crew who probably don't want to do all this work. But for now, I don't have enough locomotives to do that, so the road crew has to do the work. Okay, now I need to line the coupler up so we can actually couple onto it. See if we can do it. Nope, not quite. Just like on the prototype, it's hard to couple on a curve. Alright, now we'll go to the other end and do our switching. Alright. Back up. Just have to be clear of that little spur. Right there. Now we're going to reach in and haul out the two box cutters that are in there now, these two, and spot the green one back with the Sioux line boxcar as well. Now our switch list doesn't say what order the two boxcars should be spotted back in, so I'm just going to put the green CP boxcar where the brown one is, so basically spotted at the building with the Sioux boxcar behind it for simplicity's sake. Okay, we've coupled up. Give it a second for the brakeman to go release the handbrakes. If they were smart, the customer would have already done that. Okay, we'll assume they're released and pull it. Remember, the brown boxcar is not going back in the spur, but the other two are. Okay, I've reversed the switch, and now we can go put that boxcar somewhere on the main line just to get out of the way and then spot those other two cars. Now, one thing you don't see in this video is that I was having a lot of trouble with this Sioux line boxcar. It kept derailing, and I'm not really sure why, because there's nothing really wrong with the trucks as far as I could tell. I took the car off in between takes and checked it with my track gauge, and it was fine. But I happen to have a set of these True Line Trains trucks lying around, and so I decided to swap it out. So I took the blue box trucks off of it, put the True Line ones on, and now no problems. So I don't know what the issue was. I'm going to have to look at those trucks a little more closely to figure out why it was derailing. But for now, this is a good solution. I think those trucks cost more than the boxcar did, but that's just the way it is. All right, so we'll leave this guy here on the main for now. Come back for him after. If I can uncouple here. There we go. And now we can back up and put these cars back into the CP Express siding. A little bit further. Come on, just a little bit further. Okay. The brakeman will tie them down, securing the handbrakes, and then come back and line the switch for the locomotive. This is definitely a prime location for a derail on any of these industrial spurs. So that's definitely on my to-do list, is to put a derail. I got to figure out how to have a working derail so that it's not just ornamental, but it actually does its job. So I'll see what I can do. It's a long-term project. Problem with the working derail, of course, is going to be, if it's going to be anything near scale, then it's going to be very, very fragile. So it might not be worthwhile to have a real working derail. We'll see. Okay, we'll line back for there. So now we have to go get our boxcar and stick it on the train somehow. So there's a couple of options here, really. Since the boxcar is here, what we could do is leave it there and put it at the head of the train, or we could grab onto it with the locomotive and put it on the back. The problem with putting it on the back is the caboose is there. So maybe what we should do is just shove the boxcar head a little bit on the main, and then come back around. Now the problem I have with that is that the main is actually on a slope, so if I push it up there, it's not going to stay. So we'll simulate that. Okay, so he's close enough that he's clear of the siding switch, so we'll back up. Now we have to leave the boxcar behind, so we'll uncouple from it, and we'll see if it'll stay. It will. Good. All right, so we'll leave him there. Now, two things. The brakeman will line the switch for, well, not yet, because the engine's still on it. He'll line the switch for the siding, though, back here. And as the locomotive starts to crawl through a little bit farther, stop and line the switch for the main, so he doesn't have to do that later. And you can lock that one, and lock the siding one for that matter. And once that's all done, then they can... Oh, I'm not even thinking here. See, he's on the right side of the... Yeah, so he's going to go to the other end, push the whole train together, then come back and go on the head end. That's what he'll have to do. All right, off we go. Now the locomotive's at the other end. He's going to come forward, couple onto the caboose, and push the whole train together. Got the caboose. Push forward. Couple there. And now he's got to push forward and get that boxcar at the head end. Come on, locomotive. Let's go. Got the boxcar. Now pull back so that everything's in the clear so that you can run around it again. So at this point, the brakeman is going to uncouple the engine and accompany it down to help the runaround. So he's got a couple things to do here. the thing's stuck in the coupler. He's got to help the runaround, but all of this train that's been shoved back together, he's got to walk along the whole train and couple up all the air hoses because it was in 3 pieces. So he's got to do that. So we'll skip over that boring part and we'll resume with the locomotive at the other end. So here we are with the locomotive coupled up to the train. Everything's together and ready to roll. Airline's been charged up in their absence, and time to go into staging and move on to the next train. Okay, 2 more trains to run. The next one is CP975 from Winnipeg to Minnedosa. So this is the switch list for that. We have 1 pickup out of the interchange, AMPX 55, which is a tank car. So we're ready to go out of staging. So as we come into Georgetown, we have a couple of jobs. We have to pull that car out of the interchange, and we have to run around our train. So maybe what we should do is pull it out of the interchange right away. So we'll come to a stop at the interchange track, and the brakeman will throw the switch, line it, and we'll go get some cars. Now there's 3 cars in the interchange track, and the one we want is the middle one. So we're going to have to pull the 2 cars out and spot that gray hopper, this one right here, put it back on the interchange track. Remember, we still have all of our train, 4 cars in a caboose attached to the locomotive. Okay, so we'll make the couple there and uncouple from the tank car in the back and pull out. So we want the tank car, but we don't want this gray hopper here. So we'll push the tank car forward onto the main line, leave it there, and then put the gray hopper back. That tank car rolls really well. Lined and secured. Push it back in and couple up to what's there already and leave it there. uncoupled. Now we just have to run around. Remembering that we have to put the caboose at the other end as well. So this is going to take a little bit of thinking. How do you do this with the least number of moves possible? So I've got the train on right now. I can pull it all the way around. That's what I'll do. So I'm going to back up, continue backing up till I clear the siding switch. Take the whole train around, and I'll just push the caboose onto the end of the tank car. Secure that, and we'll go from there. So now I have the caboose on the end of the tank car, here and here. This is the end of the train. And I have these other 4 cars, the hopper, the multi-mark box car, the rail box car, and the center beam flat that need to go on the other side of the tank car. So what I'll do is I'll pull those 4 cars forward, push them into the siding, leave them there, come back and get the caboose and tank car, tack them on the end of the cars in the siding. That'll give me the complete train, and then the locomotive just has to run around at the front of it, back up this way till it's clear of the Minnedosa siding spur, and then off it goes. A little bit of shuffling, but not too bad. So first things first, uncouple and move forward. Now coming back on the siding. Now we'll leave them in the siding and go get our caboose and tank car and put them on the end here. This thing keeps getting stuck in couplers. Now we'll go grab the caboose and the tank car and tack them on. I guess we didn't couple. That happens on the real trains too, where the couplers don't line up. I remember volunteering on a sale in Hillsborough where we often coupled on a curve because of the way the trackage was, and it was sometimes very difficult to get them to line up just right. You ended up having to basically almost hold the coupler in place so that they would couple up. Not actually hold it, because that would be dangerous, but you really had to shove one coupler way over one way, the other coupler way over the other, in order to get them to actually couple. Alright, so we're going to take this and tack it on the end of the train, run around, back up, and then we're good to go. We'll be back in just a second to couple on. Switch is lined, coming back. Okay, and then we'll leave the train there and run around, and then it'll be complete. Off we go to couple up to the other end. Now at this point they have to do a brake test to make sure that everything's connected properly, since they shuffled some cars around. And when they're happy with the brake test, they're ready to push. So they just have to clear the switch for the Minnedosa sub, line it, and then pull through. They're going to have to stop as they go through to reline all these switches back to the way they should be. Just a little bit farther to clear the switch, and anywhere there. Good, and line that switch, but not lock it, just secure it. And the brakeman will stay on the ground there and wait for the train to go by, because he has to do all the work. Alright, once he's cleared the main line switch, they'll tell the engineer to stop. And then you can line and lock the main line switch for the main line, and then line and lock the switch for the Minnedosa spur so that it's lined normal for the siding, and he has a long walk back to the head end to get into the locomotive and then carry on. So we'll leave the train here and move on to the last train of this set and of this day. The last train of the day is CN215, which is a through train. So there is no work to be done. It just drives around out of staging, through the layout, and back into staging. It's kind of an actor with no lines, if you want to look at it that way. This locomotive is my dad's old locomotive, so I'm happy to run it on my layout and give it a little exercise. I believe the locomotive is a Proto 2000 GP18 or something. It's totally not a realistic prototype, as far as I know. But it was my dad's, so it's important to me for that reason. Plus, it runs pretty well. So that's it for my layout day. With this train, that'll be the end of the trip. So thanks for watching. I appreciate your attention, and feel free to comment, please, or you know, of course, subscribe to my channel for future videos. Thanks again for watching.